Hi, this is Mr. Ward, and this is your Algebra Do Now 30.2 video key. If you're in B or D block, this is 30.3, as we finally get in sync with all those days off and weird schedules. So here we go, 1A. I have factored the below quadratic trinomial. It's a three-term polynomial. That's what a trinomial is. Tri means three. Binomial means two. Monomial would be one. Beyond three, we just call it 4, 5, 6, whatever, term polynomial. We just call them polynomials and say how many terms. At any rate, I've identified the x-intercept. So I got this thing, 10x squared minus 10x plus 16. I factored it. Two factors of 16 that add up to negative 10 are negative 2 and negative 8. I worked out using the zero product property that if x was 2, this x minus 2 would be 0. If x was 8, x minus 8 would be 0. Any factor that is 0 makes the whole thing, whole product 0. So those are the x-intercepts. So what I want to find out is what is the x value that is halfway between those x-intercepts? Well, I just need to average 2 and 8. So to average two numbers, we just say we add those two numbers and we divide them by 2. Okay, so that's just going to be 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So now we have 5 as that middle point. Okay, now we're going to take that out, that 5, that middle value. We're going to find the y output for that middle value. So we're going to take the x value that was the halfway point in number 1a. We're going to calculate the y output for that x value. So you can either use the expanded equation or the factored one. I'll use the factored one for this one. So I'm going to do, we've got x minus 2 times x minus 8. So x minus 2 times x minus 8 is going to be my equation. I'm going to replace x with 5 here and 5 here. And so I'm going to end up with 3 times, well, look at that, negative 3. So I'm going to get negative 9. Okay, so that tells me if x is 5, y will be negative 9. That's my input, that's my output. Okay, let's see if that's what we found. And indeed, that is what we found, 5, negative 9. What have we found by averaging the x-intercepts and using that value to get an output? Well, that's called the vertex, the lowest or highest point of a parabola. We have found the vertex. Okay, so we found the vertex of it. That's the highest or lowest point on a parabola. Okay. Can't call these upper point lines the highest point because you never find the highest point. It just keeps going forever. So an upward opening parabola will have a vertex at the bottom. A downward opening parabola will have the vertex on the top. Okay, now again, I have factored the following, these below quadratic trinomial. And here we go. We've got negative x squared minus 12x minus 32. That negative bugged me, so I took it and factored it out of the whole thing. Okay. Now I've got inside here, I've got x squared plus 12x plus 32. I factored that. Two factors of 32 that add up to 12 are 4 and 8. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 plus 8 is 12. The inside and outside products will be 12x. And by the zero product property, if x was negative 4, right there, we'd have an x-intercept because the overall function would equal 0, because that would be 0. 0 times anything is 0. Same with this. If I made x equal negative 8, I end up with a 0 over here, and 0 times something is 0. So let's find the x value that is halfway between those x-intercepts. So what is halfway between negative 8 and negative 4? Well, to find that, we're going to average them. Negative 8 plus negative 4 divided by 2. And you might notice that negative 8 and negative 4 add up to negative 12. Okay, and we're going to divide that by 2. So that's going to equal negative 12 divided by 2. And that's going to equal negative 6. All right, so let's go and see what we see. So we're going to take that negative 6 and we're going to plug it in to one of these equations to find out the output for that middle point. Okay, and negative 6 is here, and the output is somewhere up here. I've left it off the screen for you to discover it. This time I'll use this version. I'll use negative x squared minus 12x minus 32. So negative of negative 6 squared, that's not a negative, let me see here. Let's say negative of negative 6 squared minus 12 times negative 6 minus 32. Okay, let's work that out. So negative 6 times negative 6 will be 36, but it's negative, so negative 36. And then negative 6 times 12 is going to be 70, is going to be negative 72. I'm going to subtract negative 72. So minus negative 72, which will be like adding 72. And then minus 32. So the negative 36 and the minus 72 is going to end up getting us to positive 36. So that'll be 36 minus 32, and that's going to equal 4. So we will have a point at negative 6 comma 4. Now let's see what we got. Oh, look at that, negative 6, 4. Is that what we found? Absolutely. So let's propose, we found the vertex. Let's propose an approach to finding the vertex for a quadratic from x-intercepts. So step 1, find the x-intercepts. If you don't have them, you won't be able to do anything with this. Okay. Step 2, average the x-intercepts. Step 3, use the average of the x. I can type the x-intercepts as an input for the original quadratic, original function. The step 3, or step 4, I should say, use that input and its output as an xy point. That will be the vertex of that quadratic. Cool. There you go. All right, I hope that was helpful. We simply take the two x-intercepts, we average them. Once we know them, we average them, then we get a new x value. We plug that x value into the function, and we get an output. That input, that middle point is the input. The output is the y value for the vertex. So these two, this is the average, and the output of the average gets us the vertex of that parabola.